Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Joe Show. I am your host, Joseph Decker. A little bit of a different scenery today. Not the normal live you guys are usually used to. This is a little bit of recording, a little bit of something new, unique, differently. More of the podcast feel. On today's episode, we have a few topics I want to discuss. It's 10:33 at night, but I had to hop on here and talk a little bit. Um, Getting in the know. Lots of news in the transfer portal around Kentucky high school. Summer basketball starting to heat up. Speaking on the third region, great crossing, the early season number one for the state, of course. Luka Doncic tonight in the finals shines at his first finals appearance despite losing. And Louisville, could they land Coleman Hawkins? And November 9th, they have scheduled a home game against Tennessee. That's interesting. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a game I'd love to be at. Might have to just check it out. A lot of college games here I'm so hyped up for. I'm going to try to attend as many as I can. Um, but yes, I want to say thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys are watching this, our sponsors for today's episode is MPDT. They are a technology sponsor. I'm a little new to this podcast type of situation I'm in right now. Not really new to the podcast, but this little recording thing I'm doing before. A little different to this, something a little new. I've been wanting to try it out for a while. Decided, hey, let's do it tonight. Got two episodes tomorrow, one at 10 a.m. Central Time and one at 5 p.m. Central Time. Be sure to check those out. Two Edmonds County legends. I won't spoil. Some know, some don't. And then our socials are at the bottom. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram, but we do not have an Instagram. Interesting. Follow us on Twitter and follow us on YouTube. Instagram in the future, though. Instagram is different. It's not the easiest to really succeed on Instagram, I feel like. I've always been told and I've always seen kind of through posting and stuff. It's the hardest, I feel like, to expand and I guess in some people's words, blow up. I guess that's the word. So I would kind of stayed away from Instagram a little bit, but there will definitely be an Instagram in the future. Um, but let's get straight into this. Let's talk about the transfer portal news. The one I want to talk about the most is Centonio Wade. Centonio Wade is a phenomenal basketball player. Let me just go ahead and get that out of the way. Um, I've actually been texting him a little bit, talking to him a lot this evening. We've been getting to know each other a little better. And he is taking his talents to, as I just said, Great Crossing, was formerly at Woodford County. And he is joining a team, man. He is joining a squadron. He's going to be playing with Vince Dawson. He's going to be playing with Malachi Marino. And, this team's already the preseason, like, state number one to everybody. And you add a guy who is putting up nearly 20 a game in many tournaments, 20 a game for the season. I think he averaged 17. But, this guy is going to be I feel like, icing on the cake. Last year I feel like Great Crossing disappointed a lot of people going out to Lyon County, but Lyon County would go on to win state. And I feel like the two top teams for everybody in that was Lyon County and Great Crossing. And, they matched up. It was a tough battled game in a hostile environment. Lyon County got the win, but it's one I would love to see again. That state tournament was phenomenal. I'd love to be there again right now as we speak. But let's speak on some more things going on. Shout out Kentucky Prep. Kentucky Prep Report. They're great when it comes to talking about just transfers, news, people moving. Prep Baseball Kentucky. I want to shout out Prep Baseball Kentucky. They posted one of my great friends this morning, Carter Hodges. Shout out Carter Hodges. Played really good in the tournament he attended this weekend. Prep Baseball. Posted a little bit about him, talked up a little bit about him, and I'm glad for that. He deserves that. Carter puts in a lot of work. But the Kentucky Prep Report and Prep Hoops Kentucky, those are the two ones I love to use on getting information. Trent Cole, 2027 point guard, transfers from Harlan Independent to Harlan County. Drew Smith has transferred from Boyd County and enrolled at Ashland. There's a lot of these you really get to see. Cade McQueen transfers from North Laurel to South Laurel. A 6'4", 14-year-old, That's something big, Big guys like that making an impact. Jackson McCutcheon, Fairdale to PRP for a for a senior season. 2027, Davier White is now at Taylor County. Davier White spent his last season at Evangel, I'm pretty sure. He plays for Indiana Elite. So he's a really good basketball player with a really bright future. Caden Reed is going to Montgomery County. Caden Reed at Mason County was a beast. He was at Bracken County as well. He ended up putting over 1,700 career points. He's going to be finishing off his career, though, at Montgomery County for basketball. So that's going to be fun. Then you got guys who, there's been 13 reported transfers since Saturday. That's a lot. The summer ball is truly in effect. A guy I want to shout out on Twitter, Day2Shifty, Davon Harrison is going to be taking his talents to Jeffersontown. So is Canyon Gaines. There's a few others. Jake Flood from Elizabethtown going to Breckenridge County. There's a lot of just people transferring, making decisions. Obviously, the biggest one being Santonio Wade going to Great Cross, and you get one of the best players in the state, an amazing scorer, a phenomenal guard going to the preseason #1. So that's something big. Going to transition a little bit into summer ball. When I talk about summer ball, a lot of teams play during the summer. Actually, basically every team plays during the summer. They go to spots like EA Diddle Arena, other high schools throughout the counties. Some of them go to Tennessee. Some of them go up toward Louisville. They play these summer ball games against teams and opponents. I like to keep it more local here for these, simply due to the fact that I do not have the numbers and stats for all the other summer ball games, which is unfortunate. But I do know some things I can report. Butler County today went to play at Memphis in front of all the Memphis staff. That's impressive. A guy, Ty Price, one of my great friends, 35 plus points, 6 plus threes. Games like that in front of those staffs and those people is huge. Briar, Lawson, Trevor, Clayton, the whole team, Kanan, Caden, guys like those all getting to go showcase themselves in front of those guys. Curtis, so many people I can name going to Memphis to showcase their abilities and their talents. It's awesome. It's really awesome to see that. Edmonson County, my hometown. Brownsville's hometown. Edmonson County, my home county, they played 2 games today. Ohio County, they got the win there, a big win against Ohio County. Ohio County obviously lost a lot of guys, but I feel like Ohio County will always be a very solid basketball program, will compete. They also played Metcalf. They took down Metcalf. Metcalf has a few really solid players. So that was big. Kentucky actually, Edmonson County, one of their first expedition games last season was Metcalf. So a team that we often play pretty often, like Metcalf, Edmonson County. You'll see that matchup a lot. Edmonson County gets the early win in summer ball. Do not have any official stats on that, unfortunately, but I will transition over here to Grayson County. Grayson County summer ball took into effect today, too. They played at EA Diddle Arena. Shout out my guy Spencer Langdon getting a dunk down. That's some big deal. Spencer Langdon getting up there, one of the most explosive, best scoring guards in our region. One newcomer of the year from myself. I actually voted him and picked him as my newcomer of the year last year. He won it for me, obviously. Won it for Sports Connect Media as well, formerly known as Third Region Hoops. So that was also a big deal. Spencer really getting his name out there. Going to be a huge season. It's also going to be a huge season when you're playing beside the man, Jack Loxton. Jack Loxton, I've been told 30-plus points in each of the 2 games today they played. So, obviously, big stuff by Jack and Spencer, a great duo. You got a guy like Brody. You got a guy like Hayden. You got so many guys on that team who can make a huge effect and be great right away. So, Butler County, obviously, is my pick right now, obviously, to make state, to win the region, and pretty much take over the 12th district in the 3rd region. But I think there's going to be a team like Grayson County. Grayson County competed with them all last year. Grayson County got a little younger. They lost one guy. They got a little younger. And, I still think they're going to be the same. I still think they're going to be great. I think big guys are going to step up. I think Martin is going to step up. I think a lot of people are going to step into a new role. I think Brody, Brody proved last year he was one of the best shooters in the region. He's going to take an even bigger step up offensively. Spencer's going to score even more. Jack's going to score even more. Jack's going to really put his name up there with the best players in the state this year, which I already think he is, but he's really going to solidify himself in that this year. So a big season for Grayson County. I actually reached out to Coach Travis today. I want to talk to him a little bit, get him on here. Haven't got to talk to Travis yet. That's sad because I got to talk to Trey many times. Got to talk to Coach Dockery many times. Talked to the man at Whitesville through text, message him a little bit. Never really got to in person, though, or over this. But really want to get my guy, Travis Johnston, on here. So hopefully maybe Travis sees this, gets back in contact with me. Could have a lot of fun there. I also want to mention another thing about Butler County. Thank you for letting me come and be at your guys' camp. You guys are doing a camp with some of the younger kids, some great players there, some great kids who's going to be great athletes in the future. Then they also did some scrimmaging and some work off the scenes. I posted some videos on that, talked about my guy Ty. Got into a few Twitter beefs, but if you have Twitter, you're going to get into some beefs. It's how it works, So reaching the 10-minute mark. Wow, how time flies by. 3rd region, though, I was sitting beside my guy, Greg Cowan, at Butler, and we were saying, who's our top 5 teams in the district? Top five teams in the region. I slid in Muhlenberg because even while Muhlenberg will put up maybe a rough schedule, they will always schedule the best of the best. They will always maybe go, they might only win 8 games, they might only win 9 games, they might only win 10 games. There could be a season they win 5, but they're a great basketball team because they schedule these hard teams to prepare them for region, prepare them for district. They show out in district, go into region and win, make some appearances. And I've not, when was the last time Muhlenberg made state for basketball? Men's. I don't know the answer on that. But like last year, they took down Meade in regions, went on to play OCAF, you know, competed with them. So Muhlenberg will often play against some rough teams, some hard teams, some strong teams, some even older teams, than Muhlenberg, and they will compete with them. It'll build them for those postseason moments. And I think that's what Butler County is going to do with a lot of their schedule this year. Talk to Coach Dockery. Coach Dockery said, my goal isn't 20 wins. I want to win every game. We don't just sit down and write 20 wins on the board. I would rather win, 10 games with an insane schedule that builds us and makes us better than win 20, 25 games on a cupcake schedule. And that's the truth. Let's talk a little more, though, about the third region. When I was talking to Greg, we said, Muhlenberg, Butler. I would do Muhlenberg. I would do Butler. I would do Grayson. I would do Davies. I'm still going to stick with Owensboro to make some noise. Could I be leaving someone out? Very well. I could very well be leaving someone out. But those are my top 5 right now. I feel like you got to put Grayson in there. Edmonson County is always going to be a sleeper because Edmonson County, when they get into district and they get into region, they play a lot harder. They show up a lot more at times. So they're always going to compete. Edmonson County is usually a postseason team that's going to fight in the postseason. So that's what I love about them. So, Edmonson County maybe matches up against one of those guys in region. Very well possible chance of an upset. Edmonson County matches up against Grayson. Could be an upset. Could be a Grayson win, So it's always going to be fun, especially in the district with the rivalries. It's always going to be interesting to see how things play out. I already spoke a little bit about Great Crossing being the early season number 1. Vince Dawson returns, and so does Malachi Moreno. And you pair them with the new San Antonio Wade, who I'm so pumped on. It's going to be hard to beat Great Crossing next year, man. And I'm sure Great Crossing's schedule is tough as nails, I know their schedule is going to be something that a lot of people's going to look at and they're going to be like, my God, why would they play those guys? But last year they did it. And they couldn't lose, I believe they lost one game, and it was in a Myrtle Beach tournament to an out-of-state team. And they barely lost, they lost in overtime, I believe. It might have been double overtime now that I think about it. So Great Crossing is the team to pick right now in the early season. I think they're going to be the team to stick with all week. I think they're the best team, most talented, most skilled. I think they're good coached, obviously. I think they're going to be strong. I think they have a chip on their shoulder. They really want to win this year after what happened against Lyon County last year. So I'm really pumped for that. Luka Doncic shines in his first finals appearance despite loss. Luka tonight, 30 and 10, only 1 assist. He really had to get the ball and score. Mavericks weren't scoring. His stretch in the third quarter was amazing. Luka took over the game there for a while, cut it within 8, 64-72. And then the Celtics just have these runs, man. They space the floor better than anybody. They can do a pace and space. They can do a 5-out. They can do so many things. And they can make it work, effectively too. Their last planned scheme in games is still phenomenal. They can play any way they want. They can win. They've won so many games by 10, 20 because of that. And I think the Mavericks just couldn't keep up with it tonight. Mavericks aren't the greatest defensive team in the world, but, a guy like Gafford and Lively can definitely hold their own in the paint. Derek Jones Jr. is a phenomenal perimeter threat at all times on defense. And P.J. Washington, like Derek Jones Jr., is a perimeter threat on defense always. He can always guard guys on the wing, guard guys at the top. And those guys, they're 6'9", 6'10", they can take those guys in the paint too. That's their 2 primary defenders. You often see DJJ and PJ, guarding the 2 best players on the opposing team. We've really seen it against the Timberwolves. So I'm not counting out the Mavericks yet. A lot of people had the Mavericks in 5 or 6, even 7, I still think the Celtics could very easily win this title. I think the Mavericks could still easily win this title. It was game 1. We learned a lot of things. We learned Kristaps is still a beast. A lot of people wrote off Kristaps. Kristaps, man, 20 points in 21 minutes? Jesus. He came in there in the first quarter, had that stretch where he scored like 15 straight, Kristaps wants to win. Kristaps wants to beat the Mavericks. Former Mavs player. Um, so, and by the way, the boo Kyrie stuff isn't going anywhere. Every time Kyrie touches the ball, there's going to be boos and there's going to be chants. Believe it or not, I've seen a stat. Since Kyrie has left Boston, he's 0-11. He's not beat them. He's been swept by them in the playoffs. He can't beat them in the regular season. And, I don't think he's obviously going to be swept by them now. They're going to put up a game. But he just can't beat Boston right now. And it sucks because I'm a big Kyrie guy. But I also love Boston and their team. And it's hard to not like Boston for me just because they are like one of the, definitions of basketball. I feel like the way they play the game, the way they have these fans, the TD Garden. So Boston's just a staple in culture. They're a staple in basketball history. Louisville landing Coleman Hawkins, perhaps. To a lot of people, Coleman Hawkins is a top 5 transfer in the world. Even some of the guys who's already committed, he's still in those top 5s, with those guys. You take Amar Bello, Kadari Richmond, all of those guys out, make them all available. He's still top 5 to a lot of people. He's easily the best available right now, in my opinion. Him and Jameer Watkins, I would say. And Jameer Watkins out of Florida State transferring 6'7" wing. But Coleman Hawkins is a 6'10" forward/center, but he can play point forward at times. The guy can handle the ball, get you 3 assists on about 1.5 turnover. He's a guy who can give you about 13 a game, 8 boards, consistently. He can have those games where he puts in 20, 30, Coleman has the ability to do that. And I feel like he's the missing piece for Louisville. Louisville has a lot of pieces they're great at. Louisville's going to be great already, I think, but I think Coleman can take them on another level. He can slide in and be that big for him. He can stretch the floor. I think he'll be very successful in the Pat Kelsey system. And he can play defense too. He's a big body. He can get you a steal and a block a game, but he can do so much more that the box score doesn't show. That's what I like about Coleman. He can stretch the floor too. I think he shot 35% from 3 this year. That's great for his size. So let's land Coleman Hawkins, Cardinals. Let's land Coleman Hawkins. I think his other option that everybody was really hyping up was Arkansas. And a lot of people had Arkansas above Louisville. Trevon Brazel comes back to Arkansas. So, why would Coleman go there? He's not guaranteed the starting big. He's going to have to fight for some minutes. He's going to have to compete with some guy, not play all the time, be the star big. And you say, well, they already have Jonas Adu. Well, Jonas isn't really the offensive guy Coleman is. Jonas isn't really going to be affecting Coleman's shots, like a guy like Trevon could. Trevon is often called the human highlight reel for Arkansas. So he wants his shots. He wants his moments. They both do. So Coleman going to Louisville will be huge, They don't really have a big man who is going to be out there trying to just score at will, That's not James Scott. That's not Ibe. That's neither of those guys. So Coleman, I think Louisville's the pick. I seen a tweet where he was talking about, I want to go somewhere with good football on Saturdays. That's Louisville. Jeff Brom is a phenomenal team there. Louisville's going to be great this year, man. I'm thinking about it. They're expanding the college football playoffs. Louisville's going to be great, sports-wise. There's not going to be very many colleges better than Louisville, and it feels good to say that. Michigan is building something nice. I feel like Michigan State's going to continue to grow and get better. St. Louis was a team who I would see in the tournament a few times growing up, and I think guys like those guys are going to be getting better at basketball. And I think basketball's better when a team like Michigan is really good, a team like Florida is really good, a team like Louisville's really good. If you haven't told, I'm a big Florida guy. I like Florida. I've always liked Florida. I grew up seeing Florida destroy in college basketball. I got to grow up watching Billy Donovan. That's one of my favorite things I got to witness, I got to watch Scottie Wivelkin and Bradley Beal and Patrick Young dominate 2013, 2014, Bradley Beal wasn't on the 2014, but you get what I'm saying. So when those teams are good, college basketball is better. Louisville landing Coleman Hawkins would be the icing on the cake. November 9th, 2024, they're doing a 2-season thing with Tennessee. In 2025, they'll play Tennessee at Tennessee. This year, they will play Tennessee at Louisville. Tennessee has a great team, a great coach. Rick Barnes is one of the best in the country. They have a great team. Then they add Chaz Lanier on top from North Florida. Debated between Kentucky and Tennessee. Picked Tennessee ultimately. I think it was the right decision. I've heard the money situation was almost the same on both ends, but Chaz has a lot more connections to Tennessee. I can't remember if he lived in Tennessee or is from Tennessee or spent a lot of his childhood in Tennessee. It was one of those three. So, obviously, connections to Tennessee. That's going to be a fun game, November 9th, 2024. It's going to be a fun Louisville season. We talked about the transfer portal in Kentucky. We talked about summer ball starting to heat up, some of the region and district teams. We talked about Great Crossing and how great they're going to be. We talked about Luka Doncic, and we talked about this future Louisville team. Thank you for watching. This was the Joe Show. Expect more episodes soon. Tomorrow, Friday, June 7th, we have 2 episodes, 10 a.m. Central, 5 p.m. Central.